Okay, so welcome back, everybody. Today I'm gonna go ahead and show you how you can set up your own proxy in the cloud somewhere and how you can configure it to allow other people to use it as a free proxy, and how you yourselves can actually connect to it and use it as a free proxy as well. And then you will see what sort of information will be obtainable, what the other person controlling the proxy will be able to see, and what sort of information will you be able to see. So for this purpose, I'm gonna go ahead and use DigitalOcean. I've been using them for a while for a lot of other stuff anyway, so I might as well use them for this as well. Anyway, oops, my keyboard. So you don't need to use them. You can use anyone. Any provider whose policies allow you to run a proxy, you can go ahead and host it there. So I am not advertising them or advocating that you should actually go there. I really don't care which provider you use. If you use any, you can just sit back, relax, and see how this actually happens. You don't even need to do it yourselves. But as I said, it is completely up to you who will you use. And as you can see, I already have some active connections here to my servers. So you will need to register on the site and all that if you want, but you will need to register on any site. So as I said, use anyone that you want. I really do not care. It doesn't matter. It's pretty cheap hosting anyway. Okay, logging in. So yeah. First I have a lot of things blocking here, and so will you. That's why the site might be a failure to load or something like that, but it should be fine in general. Should load eventually. At the moment I have 3 servers that are running and that are operational here. Oh man, come on. Okay, so this part where it says blah blah loading, it shouldn't actually be lasting this long. I do not understand what is the matter with this thing. Is it seriously the ad blocker? Disable everywhere. Let's just go ahead and reload the site. Amazing! It's the ad blocker. That's preventing the site from actually loading properly. Anyway, so I do have 3 instances here, and I'm gonna go ahead and delete them because I've only created them for the purposes of this tutorial anyway. And then I'm gonna show you how you can create a new one. So destroying. Oh, which one did I destroy? 2, 1. Oh wait. Yep, I destroyed the one that the Tor node was running on, where I was doing experiments for the setup of the Tor nodes for the other tutorials. Oh well, no big deal. I'll just recreate it. Once you destroy it, that's it. No going back. Sorrow and tears, but it's all going to be gone. Ah, God, come on. Yeah. Okay, so you click on Create Droplet, the green button at the top, and then you can select the type of a server that you would like to run. I don't know. I have a tendency to select either Debian or CentOS. So usually one of the two I like to select. Depends what I am doing. If I need a server for virtualization, I am going to always go with the CentOS. If I need a server for just some sort of web hosting or a proxy like this or whatever, I'm gonna go ahead and go with the Debian in general. You select Debian and then you select the version, select the latest version, and then select your monthly budget for this instance. I really don't care. I'm just gonna select the $5 here because it is completely irrelevant to me. I don't need a lot of I don't need it to actually work hard and strong or anything like that. This is just for the demo purpose. And the country, let's select something close. So Frankfurt is probably the closest to me. And okay, so you are at the point of time where you can add your own SSH keys, and you can select how many droplets you wish to be created. Now, you don't strictly need to add an SSH key, but here's the thing. DigitalOcean, or pretty much any other service provider, is going to send you the password to your email. And the password will be hilariously long. And I don't think that you'll be able to actually copy-paste it. And that's gonna... I don't like using very long passwords for SSH logins, which might seem stupid to you, but it's really not. You take something that's even longer, which is an ARSA key, which is ridiculously long, and then you store it onto a system, restrict access to the file, and just use it to log into the server, which is an awesome way of actually managing. Actually, it is the recommended way of logging into the servers. So what I am going to do here, okay, these terminals are completely dead. I'm just going to go ahead and close the windows, and I'm going to go ahead and show you how you can generate your own ARSA keys, so public and private keys, so that you are able to log into these servers in a secure fashion. So if you want to use a different machine to log into these servers, you're going to need to actually copy these keys onto that machine. And this is the ARSA keys. The SSH in general is mainly like a Linux and a Mac thing. Can work on Windows as well. With PuTTY. But let's just go ahead and begin with this procedure. So you type in SSH-keygen-t ARSA keygen. Okay, you don't need to type in anything in particular here. You can type in a specific file where would you like to save it, but the default location is fine. So it's the home folder, your username, and then .sh. Just press enter. You're not going to get this, but I already have an ARSA key from my previous droplet, so I don't really care. So I'm going to go ahead and overwrite that. You can also add an additional passphrase to this, but I'm not going to do that. There's really no need. I just press enter twice, and you shouldn't really show these things to anyone, you know, your private keys or whatever. But I don't really care. This is just for the demo purposes. And once I'm done, I will destroy these keys and I will destroy this instance anyway. So you type in cd/home, your username, and then .ssh, and then do ls, and you will see it says idarsa, idarsa.pub, and known hosts. So I'm going to go ahead and type in vim. Known hosts. So these are the known hosts which have been remembered. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Let me just go ahead and quit. You can also modify the known hosts file manually. I'm just gonna go ahead and purge it. So I don't have any hosts that I have actually remembered, because ARSA keys are specific to an IP. Once you generate the SSH ARSA keys, they're specific to an IP address. Even though the IP address can change, you will get a warning stating that the IP address has changed and then there is a possibility of a man-in-the-middle attack. But usually it's not a problem, it's just that the IP address has changed. Anyway, do ls again, and you have ID ARSA, so we're not going to touch that, but we have ID ARSA pub. And that is the one that we actually need. So just go ahead and type in cat id arsa.pub. Great, I've just displayed my private key, but as I said, it really is irrelevant because I'm gonna go ahead and destroy this machine afterwards anyway. ID arsa, that's what I'm doing basically. I've created a setup, I've created an environment, I've created everything for you so that I can do the full demo where I don't need to actually hide or conceal any sort of information. Rather, instead I can just show you everything, and then just afterwards I'm gonna destroy it and create a new system. Okay, so cat id _arsa.pub, that's your public key. So press enter, and you can just go ahead and copy the whole thing. Go back to the website, and it says add your SSH key. So there is my key, which I have added previously for the other instances, but I'm just going to go ahead and say that I would like to import a new key here. And I'm going to name this one new key. The name is arbitrary. You can name it any way you like. Add an SSH key. and click create down below. You are not going to need anything else. Okay, so this is creating the process is fairly fast. Even if you pick a bigger one, it's still very fast. It would seem that all of the disks that they offer are SSD disks, which is kind of nice. Unfortunately, I cannot log in or do anything like that until this process actually completes. Just wait, and then we need to. Oh, okay, let's get to work. It's done. So I have the IP address. They have a copy button. Thank you. And let me just go ahead and clear the screen. CD clear the screen again, and type in SSH. It will be installed by default. Root at Control-Shift-V. Press enter. Type in yes. So the authenticity of the host cannot be established. It has some sort of fingerprint, which is not matched by anything in your known host file because we've just purged the known host file. And yep, our known host file now contains this IP address and the fingerprint here. Okay, so we are logged into the machine, and if I type in ifconfig, you can see that the IP address is whatever this is, and if I type in ifconfig down below, you will see that the IP address here is completely different. So this is like my private LAN IP address, while this here is a public IP address, which can be used to actually access this via the net. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is actually start configuring our machine for the proxy. First things first, we're gonna need another user. So add user, and the name of this user, it's arbitrary. You can put whatever you want. I'm gonna go ahead and name my user Proxy. No, I'm gonna name my user Sheep. So this username will be Sheep. Should I add something? Nah, you can only use lowercase letters if I'm not mistaken. Enter a new Unix password for the user Sheep, so just enter it even though it won't be displayed on the screen. Okay, so enter the new value for the user, full name, don't care, room number, don't care, work phone, don't care, don't care, don't care. Is this information correct? Yes, it absolutely is. Thank you. So these are only options that you can fill for the user. They're not mandatory things. I mean, if you just press enter onto an empty field, it's going to be fine. So if I type in SU sheep, I shall become a sheep. If I type in SU, oh God, don't do this to me. Because I don't know the root password. I didn't actually get it via mail. I probably did get it via mail, but I didn't actually bother to check because I used the key to log in, so I don't know the root password. I need to actually change the root password. Sudo su. Oh God. Okay, let's just log out and log back in. This was like extremely stupid. Just type in exit and then. Oh, okay. I don't need to actually log out. I just exited back. So I am back as root, and let's type in pass wd and change the password for root, for God's sakes. Let's just type in something. I don't know. It's just whatever. Make sure you don't forget it. So I've created a new user. I've updated the password for root. And now I'm going to go ahead and edit my SSH settings. So VIM, do I have VIM? I do. Excellent. I'm so happy that VIM comes installed by default on Debian. It still doesn't come installed by default on Fedora, unfortunately. VIM /etc SSH SSHD config. Press enter. And this is the config file for SSHD. So we're just going to need to change a few things here for the sake of security. So permit root login. That is the line that we are looking for. Permit root login. And just go ahead and just type this in without password. Okay, so right quit. And now just type in service SSH restart, service SSHD restart, and then type in exit. You're back in your host client, and now go ahead and attempt to log back in as root. And there you go. So we have actually managed to log back in. We've managed to log back in as a root user, but I shouldn't have been able to do that. I'll just see the config file one more time. I'm typing something wrong here. And let me just probably a spelling typo or something like that. Need to reload the service again. Okay. Let's just go ahead and set this to straight out no. And that should do the trick, basically. And there we go. It actually now requests for the root password. It doesn't go over the keys. So if I type in the password. Okay, so permission denied, even though I did type in the right password. The password is basically test123 or lowercase t. It has to be one of the two, but it doesn't actually work. I can't log in. So let's just go ahead and try one more time. I know for a fact that this is the password because this is something that I've designed to actually put the weak passwords in. If I type it in again, and it says permission denied, please try again. Here, let me just type it in with a capital letter. And nope. Let me just write it one more time for charms. And nope, permission denied. But if I do this, sheep, it's gonna ask me for a password here. It's the same password, test123, and there you go. I am able to log in, but the problem is I'm not able to log in by using the keys, so I just need to copy the public key, which I have actually generated here. And I need to type in sudo su sorry, just su. And there you go. The password is, in fact, test123 for sure. Okay, let's clear the screen and the cd. Oh, shouldn't have done the cd slash home. Cd slash root ls dash a cd dot ssh ls authorized keys, so cp authorized keys to slash home slash sheep dot ss. Oh, I need to create the file first, sorry. mkdir slash home slash sheep dot ssh. And now I'm gonna go ahead and cp authorized host to slash home slash sheep dot ssh. And now I'm gonna go into slash home slash sheep, and I will type in ch own sheep colon sheep dot ssh, and I will give the recursive here because I wish to change the ownership of this. I'm gonna type in exit, and I'm gonna attempt to log in, and there you go. Voila, you don't need a password anymore. You can just log in with keys. And what have we done here? Let's just cap up before the time runs out. I have remove the root user from the direct SSH login, so you can no longer log into the server as root. You can log in with a regular user and then become root on the server from that regular user. Otherwise, you can't. So it's an extra security layer, and you cannot log in as root to the server. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and set up the proxy, but we're going to do that in the follow-up. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue. Anyway, now that we are on the server and that we've configured all the miscellaneous things for the management, now we can go ahead and actually install the proxy server. So let's just, I'm gonna go ahead and become root here. And by the way, don't share your password with anyone for root or any passwords whatsoever. I don't care. As I said, I'm gonna destroy everything upon the completion of this tutorial. Anyway, we shall type in apt-get install squid3. So it might take a little bit of time. Yes, and the beautiful thing about the system is that, I only have one CPU and I think I have around 12 megabytes of RAM. And this is running hilariously well. Granted, there is no GUI, but I don't really need it for anything. It's a server. Okay, so now that the installation process is done, I would like to start configuring the Squid proxy server. So in order for me to do that, I'm going to need to modify the configuration file. It is a good idea and a good practice in general to actually create a backup of that file. That would be my phone. I'm terrible with my phone. People always send me messages and ring me at wrong times. It's hilarious. Anyway, let's go ahead and back up our config file. So if something goes wrong, we always can use it as a reference pointer. We can just go ahead and restore it. So etc squid3 squid.conf needs to be copied to etc squid3 squid.conf, and we're gonna name it .original. Or you can name it backup or something like that. Doesn't really matter. Next up, we will need to go ahead and, well, actually we won't. Basically, just prior to the editing, we should make some sort of a copy, and not a bad idea. It's a good idea to actually protect it from writing, so you will have the original settings as a reference. So no matter what happens, we won't be able to write to this file unless that is changed. So ch mod, and we're gonna go ahead and state that it's -x, not -x actually, that's execute, -w. So we are subtracting the write permissions. Actually, let me go ahead and show it to you first. ls-l should see squid3 squid original, and you can see that the root user still has write permissions, but if I take away those permissions, nobody will be able to modify it unless the permission is explicitly granted by root. So chmod -w, and let's go ahead and do the listing now. See, nobody has the right to actually write to the file now. Not the user, not the group, not the world, no one. Everybody can read it, which is fine, but nobody can actually write to it. Okay, now we're gonna need to type in vim/etc squid3 squid.conf, and welcome to Squid 3.4.8. Let's go ahead and start messing around with it. So in order to set the port, the TCP port to listen on, I mean, you can use the default one, which should be 3128. You can change let me just go ahead and find it, http underscore port. Disable PTP flag on HTTP instead default. Okay, so we could theoretically change the port here. It says since Squid 3.0 uses the disable PTMU directory flag on HTTP port instead. Okay, so something has changed from the previous versions that I have looked at, but I mean it doesn't really affect us now because I'm not going to be really changing the port. I just showed you. There you go. It says HTTP port 3128. So if you want some different port that the Squid proxy will listen on, you can just change this number. But I, at this point in time, don't really see a need to actually change it, really. So I'm just going to leave it as it is. You can change the visible host name and give the specific host name to the Squid server, but that's not really that important. There is also a way of actually limiting access to your proxy server, like only a certain set of IP addresses can access it. But we're not going to be doing that because the idea is to allow everybody to use it. And then I will show you when you use it how you can monitor the traffic, and the same method can be applied to everybody else, even though that's like, that's not really a very nice thing to do at all. So you don't really need to actually change anything here. I just wanted to show you where you can change things. Port being one of the key things to change here, but it's good to have the backup file anyway. Before we actually start the server itself, we will need to punch a hole in our firewall. And if you have Nmap installed on your main system, and you should, if you don't, just type in DNF installed Nmap. And on the client system, and this should install it. It's a fairly small package. You see it's already installed here. If I do Nmap, the IP address of this server is 46.101.153.159. If I press enter, and I'm scanning myself, so that's fine. I am perfectly entitled to scan myself. It says that I have a port 22, which is the default SSH port, which is open. Our PC behind this is something. And that the Squid actually 3128 is open as well, which is nice that it did that by default. But we will see, will there be any interference from the firewall? Now, next up is systemctl. You can use service command as well. I'm just going to go ahead and give a status Squid 3 service. Is it actually running? Yes, it's actually running. It is loaded. If I do like, if you want to start it or restart it, you can just, instead of status, you can type in either start or restart or whatever you want there. So that's perfectly fine. Okay, so now let's go back to the proxy list here and let's see if we have actually configured everything right. In case we have, this is going to work. In case we haven't, we're going to go to the next tutorial and begin troubleshooting, because I don't really want to exclude the troubleshooting part from these tutorials. A lot of this actually, some of the commands I've written in my notes, but a lot of this I'm doing on the go. So the problems that I encounter are I figured that the same problems that I encounter are the same problems that you will encounter. So I figured I would just be solving them on the go, and you would be able to get some troubleshooting knowledge along the way if something does go wrong. So etc proxychains.conf. Oh my god, I have a lot of them here. Just press cipher insert. And this is all gonna go away. It needs to be banished. It needs to be gone. So I can't have it there. And we also We also didn't specify what sort of a proxy will it be. So what's the time? Okay, I'm running a little bit short on time, I think, anyway, because I didn't turn on my stopwatch. But we'll come back in the follow-up tutorial where we will actually specify the type of proxy, the IP address, and the port. The port is 3128, the one that we left. So I'll see you in the follow-up. Okay, so welcome back. Meanwhile, I've actually allowed the proxy to run. I mean, I've shut it down, and now we're going to go ahead and begin specifying what type of a proxy it is and the IP address and the port. But I did actually just let it run for a while to prove a point. And here you go. These are the actual Wireshark traces. I have actually started receiving connections, and then I began tracing the IP addresses. And I don't know, one was from Canada, the other one was from Taiwan. And this is actually the second run which I made. There was the first run, and during the first run I had way more IP addresses connecting directly to me. So that was kind of a weird experience. I actually closed the firewall and took the proxy down. Anyway, my point being is that this is basically how people create honeyspots, and then they track you online because you're using their proxy, so they can see what it is that you are doing, and they can see where you're coming from. They can see where you're coming from and where you are going. So that being said, it is far more difficult to actually hide your proxy as opposed to just the need to advertise it, because you will, if you run an open, transparent public proxy, you will be picked up. Like there's no going around it. You will be picked up. Like there are so many scanners running out there, they will figure out that you're using it. One of the countermeasures that you can enact is change the default port from 3128 to something at random. Then again, that's not going to help you that much. The thing that will probably help you the most is to actually set up authentication for your proxy, but that is not really the objective of today's exercise. The objective of today's exercise is to create a proxy honeypot through which people will connect, and where you will be able to follow up on the traffic. You'll be able to see what is going on. But I am not going to actually be recording anyone's traffic because I'm not interested in anyone's traffic. I will record my own traffic, and then I will show you that. If somebody at random connects during the session, I had nothing to do with it really, and nor do I particularly care for their traffic. I'm not gonna mess around with that. I'm just gonna mess around with my own information that goes through my own proxy. Anyway, let's go back to the vim/etc proxychains.conf, and squid3 by default is HTTP, and then you type in the IP address of the server. You can just type in ifconfig and you will get the IP address here. So just copy paste it, and then the port which you configured, which is 3128. Now before you actually start this, let me just right quit. Well, I don't actually need to write anything because I've already written it. And this is to be edited with a root user, not with a regular user. I just wanted to show you the entry. Anyway, there are a few minor modifications which you will need to make. So you see I installed T-Shark so I can actually monitor traffic. I will show you how to do that as well. But let me just, I've actually even deleted the rule in the firewall in order to actually close it. Let me just show you. Nmap 46.101.153.159. Yep, there we go. So the port is not even visible. It's completely closed. It's gone, non-existent. I don't really care about that. If I do IP tables -L, you will see that the chain input actually doesn't contain entries, so the default policy will be to actually drop the packets, unless specified differently by some particular service or something like that. Anyway, let me just go ahead and so we don't need to actually start it. I'm just looking for the config file. Okay, so vim/etc/squid3/squidconf. Go into this file, and here we're gonna go ahead and enact some changes. So the first thing that we're gonna be looking is the HTTP access. So just press escape, /, and type in HTTP_access and press enter. And then that will search for this string, and then press N for the next one and go next, 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 next. Okay, so this is the first line which you will need to change. There's going to be a hash here in front of this, so you just need to remove that hash. So just completely remove the hash, and it says deny request on to certain unsafe ports, which is basically if it's port 80 or something like that, the connections are gonna get dropped, which is not something that we want. So go ahead and remove that. And then we go down, HTTP access, allow, deny, just leave that as it is. Manager, that's fine. Next, and okay, so at 15% of the file, you'll get like HTTP_access, allow all. Okay, before you actually do this, or you can just, it's far better to just follow along and not actually do what I'm doing here. The default one will be deny all. Now, when you put allow all, this is a universally stupid thing to do, to basically allow all sorts of traffic to actually come in and go out, which is like yuck. But that's basically what a free, transparent open proxy is, and then people will be able to connect and work on all sorts of ports and do all sorts of things. So keep in mind that you will be held accountable and responsible for the things that are done from your proxy. So I like to think that I know what I'm doing, but I mean, I don't like to claim that I'm 100% certain at all times. However, I know for a fact that this is universally a stupid thing to do, but this is a method for creating a proxy honeypot, and I need to do it in order to show it to you. I'm doing it in a controlled environment. I am going to do it for a very short amount of time, and I am going to monitor my own traffic. So I don't really have a lot to worry about, because I will take the server down. I will destroy the server afterwards. But if you leave it running, and if you have paid for it, you will be responsible for the traffic that goes through it. Keep it in mind. It's a serious thing, not a joke. Just please be aware of that fact. Okay, anyway, moving on. We're gonna go ahead and write quit, and then we're gonna go ahead and start. So systemctl start squid3.service. I've started, and let's go ahead and type in proxy chains for Firefox. By the way, make sure that all the instances of Firefox are closed before you start this. If they're not, this will not work. All right, Firefox. And let me just go ahead and minimize this, and you can see that I am immediately accessing my own domain, and you can see how fast is it actually going when you know that the proxy is 100% functional. And now on the remote system, type in apt-get install tshark, and it's already installed here, so no problems there. And then type in the following command. I will explain the Wireshark in more detail later on when we actually perform packet capture and analysis. But for the time being, you can just type in tshark and then specify the interface, and then specify the filter here. So TCP port 3128 of our proxy, and press enter. And yep, this is going to show you what's going on. So one of these is my IP address and the other one is actually from the server. So 101 is from the server and 4636.161.110 is my own. So you can see there is a lot of communication going on. If I go here and type in what is my IP address, it says here that I am in Frankfurt, Hessen, Germany. So 46.101.153.159. That is exactly the IP address of my proxy, and that is the IP address that I am actually getting there. I can go to a more specific place, and you see it's gonna actually share location. Not now. So it's just knows that I'm here by the IP address, because IP addresses have been indexed, and by the IP address there's a geo IP database lookup where you can find the approximate location of the IP address. ISP DigitalOcean, so that's where it's being hosted. This is the city region, Germany. Okay, so let's go ahead and check something else out. DNS leak test. Let's go through the standard test. And okay, so I'm using the Google DNS servers and it's throwing me onto Netherlands. So this is fine. I have managed to change my IP once again by using my own proxy. I've also changed the DNS servers, and the traffic is like blah 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 somewhere going through here through this proxy system. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and close the browser, stop the capture here, clear the screen, and then I can go ahead and continue the capture. If you let it run for like an hour or something like that, you are bound to see here output here, people will start connecting to you. Just a matter of time, really. So make sure that you are supervising what is happening, and once you're done, make sure to actually shut down the service, and if necessary, implement firewall rules to actually close the port. But as soon as you shut down the service, it's going to be fine, because there will be nothing listening on the port, so it won't be open at all. Anyway, in the follow-up tutorial, I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna go ahead and mess around with this a little bit more, and we'll see how it works. Oh, by the way, down below you can see that the dynamic chain is working. I could have placed a strict chain here without any problems, so I am able to dial the proxy server without any problems again. It's very fast, it's working just fine, and some of the things are denied, but that's okay. All the sites have loaded without any problems. One more thing. If you see, for example, that port 80, it says instead of okay, denied, and port 443, it says okay, that just means that you didn't configure the option where I've shown you not to enforce the port 443 in the squid proxy config file. Basically, if there are any other ports listed here where it says denied, if some ports are allowed and some ports are like okay and other ports are denied, you know that the problem lies within the port configuration of the squid proxy config file. There are a lot of things that you can do in that file. The file has more than 5,000 lines of code written in it, so you can implement a download of rules. You can specify that you can connect only from that the connections will be accepted on the proxy only from one IP address, that the connections will, I don't know, like require a username and a password, and that they will be permitted only on certain ports, etc., etc., etc. But as I said, this is not the objective of today's exercise. The objective of today's exercise is to create a honeypot from where the information can be extracted. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and bid you farewell, and we shall see each other in the follow-up. Okay, so welcome back. This will most likely be the last lecture on the subject of proxies. Anyway, our proxy server is running, so we have configured that, and it should be functional and operational. Now, I am a stupid person who has actually went to sleep while I've left the proxy server running, which was amazing because I've gotten so many connections that went through that proxy server and went God knows where. In the morning when I woke up, I realized that my monitoring software was still on the T-Shark, and I've seen all these connections coming, and I was like, whoa, wait, what? But apparently, yes, it was up and running for a while. Anyway, now we need to go ahead and, whoa, this is my testing with Wireshark, and I went insane with it for a while until I realized the file formats were wrong. But anyway, that's besides the point. Okay, what we are going to do today is set up a pipe from our server to our local machine client, where we will stream the traffic from that machine to our client over SSH, and then we're going to push it to Wireshark, and then we will monitor everything that is going on the server through the Wireshark, which is a very convenient tool for monitoring. There is, of course, a way to set up IP table firewall rules for monitoring and logging, etc. But Wireshark is going to give you like a lot of details. Anyway, and it's a little bit simpler to use. So there are things that we need to do and set up. So first of all, on the server itself, this terminal is actually connected to the server, you need to do a few things. So first of all, if you didn't do it before, apt-get install T-Shark, and you can also type in Wireshark. It doesn't actually do any harm. And by the way, even after I've closed the, well, there you go. I actually had to change the password. I don't know, because even after I closed the proxy, I had so many connections like just attempting to come in, and I could see them being rejected. So I changed the password from test to something more complex, I guess. But as soon as I'm done with this, I can't wait to just destroy the server completely, because I had so many connections like from China, Kazakhstan, Poland, etc. They were all coming in. Anyway, the first thing that you will need to do is type in apt-get install T-Shark and Wireshark. Okay, so those two will be installed. Well, you won't be using Wireshark, but I'm just going to go ahead and install it anyway because this is a terminal here. So those two are installed now, and the next thing that we need to do is type in cat/etc group, and you will see a group called Wireshark somewhere here. Yep, there we go. So we need to add our regular user to the Wireshark group. Otherwise, we are going to have problems, because then we will need to run Wireshark as root, and it is never recommended to run Wireshark as root because, well, it contains like 5 million lines of code or something like that, and you do not want everything running as root. Like, that's really bad for you. Okay, so simple enough setup. You just type in user mod-a-g Wireshark, and then just type in your username here and press enter. I've already done it, so no point in doing it twice. Now, remember before in the very beginnings when I showed you how to install Wireshark onto your main machine, you could log out and then log back in? Well, that's kind of not the case. What you can do here, you can reboot the machine, but I mean, we don't really want to reboot the server. So it's new grp Wireshark, and if you just press enter here, this is gonna basically work, and then you will be able to actually run Wireshark T-Shark as a regular user. So let's just say ETH0 and press enter, and this is gonna like, yeah, there you go. So it runs as a regular user. Very important, because we have disabled root login to the server, and if you want to do it via SSH, the pipe and all that, you can't do it as root. You would need to write a far more complex script to be able to do this, as opposed to just allowing the T-Shark to run as a non-root user, which is a far safer option in any case. Okay, now open up another terminal here, just a regular terminal like this, and make sure to have Wireshark set up on your client system. I hope to God that you have watched the first videos, so I take it that the Wireshark is already set up and configured on your system. I don't really have the command here, but it doesn't matter. I can copy paste it from the other terminal. I'm not going to type it simply because it's really long and I don't feel like going over it while I actually type it. So we shall first fire up the Wireshark, and there's like a K option here. Feel free to take a look at the man pages. But there is the -I option, which is far more important for us in this case. The -I option basically specifies the interface, and interface doesn't necessarily need to be your network interface. It can be a pipe file, or it can be a live stream of information in which is the case here. So we're basically doing a redirection of output. We're logging into the server, our server, and then we're passing the command to that server to run T-Shark. We're specifying that the file format is pcap. Very important. If you don't specify that the file format is pcap, the default file format for T-Shark is pcap ng, which is going to cause problems, and you're not going to be able to perform a live capture. And then the -w is actually right, and this is standard output. And this is a filter, so we're just We're just filtering out the port 22 because we don't want to be monitoring for traffic on port 22, because we are connecting via SSH via port 22. So we would just have a lot of redundant traffic there. And now I'm going to go ahead and just press enter, and this is going to fire up the Wireshark, and there is nothing going on. So let's just go over to the other terminal where I am connected to the server, and I don't know, do something stupid like ping google.com. And you can see immediately there is a reflexive behavior here where these pings are recorded. I am pinging google.com, so this is the DNS, and this is one of these IP addresses is from Google. Maybe probably this one, 91.196.50. Actually, it's pretty easy to check who the IP address belongs to. You just type in who is 91.196.50.176, and 176. I don't know, it's in one of these subnets, so let me just see in which one. 176, so it should be in this one. So Euronet is the ISP, country is PL, I think that's Poland. I'm 99% sure it's Poland, and you even have the contact number for the given IP address to submit. And you should even have like the complaint email or abuse email, or you can just dial the number if you're getting abuses from that IP, etc. Every IP address has this. Every IP address that's taken. And aside from those wonderful, aside from my ping, I am getting traffic from like God knows where. Just because I popped up a free proxy, and like the traffic is coming in from a lot of sides, which is not necessarily something that I value or treasure. Well, it's not coming in now, but every once in a while I get like an IP address from Taiwan or something like that asking me if I can see that it's checking whether the proxy is functional or not, which is very annoying. Anyway, on the server, we're gonna go ahead and start the server actually. So systemctl start. Oh, by the way, if you want to reset your IP table rules, you just type in IP tables -f. That's gonna flush all of them. Anyway, systemctl start squid3.service. Bring it up. Then we're gonna need a different terminal where we will type in. I hope that your proxy chains configuration has remained the same. I'm actually not sure about mine. Proxy chains. Yep, mine has remained the same. So Firefox. Oh wait. Proxy chains. Firefox. Oh. Proxy chains. Firefox. Anytime? Have you started, friend? Oh, okay, there you go, it's popping. So I'm connecting, and there you go. So you might see some other IP addresses in the actual Wireshark console because people are now going to start connecting to me, which is very frustrating, but nothing I can do about it because I've actually opened it up to the world. I could do IP filtering and all that, but there really is no need. I'm just going to do it for a very short amount of time to show you something. So we're going to, I'm going to go ahead and expand this across the entirety of the screen and modify it a little bit. And then I'm going to go ahead and apply the filters a little bit because I don't really care about anybody else's traffic. I'm going to go ahead and look for my traffic here. So the first thing that I'm going to do is type in TCP dot port equal. So I'm looking for traffic on port 80 or TCP dot port. You can look for traffic on any of the ports really. 443 equal 443. And I would very much like I'll just put this, can I do this? I wonder with these, would this be, yep, this would be fine. And so it's either port 80 or it's port 443, but I would like to get the source. Where is it? IP.src. So the source IP address, I would like to use my own IP address as the source, and you get your own IP address. Since you just started the proxy, you can. So let's just go ahead and close this and type in Firefox without the proxy, and then I'm gonna go ahead and type in what is my IP. And there you go. Notice that it has changed since the last time we talked because, as I said, it's a dynamic one. Let's just what is my IP? I don't know, sometimes life can be really frustrating with these small things. Okay, so I've typed in the IP address and let's close this. Let's bring back the connection over the proxy. And it's going over the proxy now. I'm just going to move the Firefox out of the way. And I'm going to go ahead and apply this. There we go. So there's nothing going on. And if I type in, for example, google.com. Okay, this is not picking it up. Let me just go ahead and do this. Apply. Why is the... Okay, maybe I got something wrong here, definitely. Probably because this is a different setup from what I did in my home machine. Okay, let me just scroll down to the bottom. And I'm gonna find myself here. Just give me a sec. So it's 46, 101, 153, 159. So if I scroll down to the bottom, for example, I open up Google search, you're gonna see that this is popping, that the proxy is actually requesting these things, but I'm not requesting. When I'm opening up the browser, for example, and I'm going to yahoo.com, I'm not really using my own IP address on the server. The requests are not going in through port 80 or port 443. The requests are going in through port 3128. So it's TCP dot port equals 3128. And this is gonna increase be careful, this file size can get really big, so make sure you have sufficient space on your PC. So, and there you go, you can actually see my IP address here as this is happening. Here, let me just show you. I'll be able to apply the IP address source filter now. I don't actually have it, but let me just go ahead and grab my IP address one more time. So what is my IP? And just gonna go ahead and copy this. And this is going to be, and just gonna put this like this, and just put them in the parentheses, and then type in and percent sign IP.src. Well, actually, I can't because that's gonna eliminate a lot of traffic. I'll have to use the or shall have to be used in this case. So or IP source equals, and then let's just paste this one. So I can just apply this, and this will enable me to monitor my own traffic. So it says here source, I'm looking for 4636. Let me just go ahead and close this and fire this up. 4636. There you go. So I can see my own traffic. Hope you can see it. It's kind of going fast, but there you go. It says that the source IP address is 43.36.190.151, which is mine, which is going to my server, and my server is 46.101.153.159. And then you get a download of other traffic as well. Anyway, the next thing that we are going to do is have a look at how can we actually see what the contents of the traffic, what the traffic actually, well, not what the traffic is, but how can we actually see what other people can see on the net. So you'll be able to, for example, see the URLs that other people are visiting through you. Okay, so bid you farewell, and gonna hope to see you in the follow-up tutorial because I'm in the 19th minute mark here. Okay, so welcome back. And Wireshark is doing its monitoring thing here, really. But the port 3128 will actually allow, the filter for the port 3128 will actually allow us to see who is connecting to us. And this is the source IP address, which is mine, so I can see where it is. So I can see that I am connecting on 3128. But since I applied all these filters, I don't think I can see anybody else doing it. It doesn't matter. These were just the filters to basically narrow down your search. But I'm going to go ahead and delete these and just leave 80 and 443. Now I can see that the source IP address will usually be the source IP address will be either the IP address of my server or the IP address of the person actually requesting certain content on port 80 or port 443 through my server or the service itself. So it's going from 46.101, 153, 159 to 54, 200, 125 somewhere. Let's go down to the bottom. So I have no idea what this is. This is going to 5254. Let me just. I really don't feel like looking at what other people are doing on the net, but I just want to like go and find myself. Here, there we go. So one of these IP addresses will be me for sure, because I don't know the IP address of the site. That's why I can't filter it. And as you can see now, I just made a request with my browser for a site. It's Fedora Magazine. And somebody who is controlling the proxy, if you're using your proxy to hide yourselves, to anonymize yourselves, can actually see all this information bunched up here. And I know how this looks like to you. You're going to say, Ermin, this looks like a bunch of digits and some random characters. Well, you are correct, except for the fact that they're not random. There is meaning to them. You see the address, it says 209.132.181. I can just open up my browser and I can, because I know it's port 80 and port 443, I know for a fact that these are either web server, these have to be some sort of, that these are usually some sort of websites. So I don't know the domain, but it doesn't matter. I can type in 209.132.181.15. Let's say that one. Okay, so it says unsecure connection. You should never actually do this. I'm dead serious. But I'm just going to go ahead and add an exception to the rule. But seriously, do not do this. I don't know why, but it seems that the Fedora that there's been a problem with the HTTPS. I clicked accept because I know where I'm going. If you don't know where you're going, or if you don't know the site, don't accept it. Anyway, so now you see where people are going. So you can actually see live what websites are people visiting and where it is that they're going, what sort of services are they using, just by looking. And you can even log these entries. You can just say like something, well, when you try to stop it, you're gonna get an option to save, but you even have like create a button based on the current display filter. No, when you try to close this, you're gonna get an option to actually save it. So now you can actually see what sort of websites are people visiting. So this is something that the person controlling the proxy can actually see. They can see all the sites that you're visiting, they can see all the places that you are going, and they can log all the information that they want. You have no way of knowing whether the information is being logged or not. And on top of that, if you are using a proxy, you usually will be using a proxy from your home connection. Most of the source IP addresses on port 3128 on the server will actually be home routers. So somebody will have your current home router IP address. And I know that I've stated before that they are dynamic, but they don't change really for like a period of 3 months or something like that, unless you actually manually reset the router or go into the router and ask for a new DHCP lease. So somebody will then be able to see the IP address, and they will be able to like look your router up on the net and attempt to access it. And home routers don't have the best of protections in the world, so it doesn't take a genius to actually break into one of those. And from that point on, they can actually put you into they can do a lot of things. First of all, they can change the DNS servers, and they can monitor all your URL requests, and in such a way they can have your IP address forever, even if it does change. They can put your PC into the DMZ of the router, so your PC would be exposed to everything out there from all the traffic coming from outside. And onwards. So that's not the subject of today, but I'm just telling you what sort of information does a person controlling the proxy actually see. They see your IP address from which you are coming, they see where you are going, and they see what is that. They have the address of the place where you went, so they can just open it up in their own browsers and they can actually have a look at what you are looking at the same time. Things you cannot do. So for example, you have, okay, so it says here TSL version 1.2 application data. So there's bound to be some data here. But you cannot actually see this data because it's basically encrypted application data and you won't be able to see any of the login details or anything like that. On the other hand, if the request is basically an HTTP request without the encryption, you'll actually be able to see a little bit more. Let's go to Linux questions. And there we go. So this is going to be sufficient. If, for example, the connection is HTTP and not HTTPS, you can actually just take a look at here and gain a little bit more information than before. Chunked response, data chunk, data. Okay, so maybe I didn't pick the right one. Let's go ahead and that's JavaScript. Get questions. Let's have a look at this one. Okay, there you go. So it says full request www.linuxquestions.org, questions, clients, vbulletin, lightbox, etc. And I even have the cookie here. So you can even see somebody's cookies. If you have the cookies, you can easily log in or pretend to be them. You get to see more information overall. You can even get the passwords and all that. But I figured I won't show that because most of the sites are HTTPS, and I'll show the HTTPS stuff, and I'll really omit the HTTP stuff because it's trivial. It really is trivial. I will focus on the SSL encryption and what can we do about it. But anyway, that's about it for the tutorial. That's it for the proxies. That's all I'm going to show for the proxies. I've shown you how you can connect to one, how you can use one, and how you can set up one, and what the person on the other end can see, and how you can set up your own proxy honeypot where you can monitor, where it is possible for you to monitor traffic of pretty much everybody else. Although please be warned, if you have a public proxy which is open to use for everyone, you will be held accountable in all likelihood for all the traffic that occurs through that proxy. Anyway, gonna bid you farewell and hope to see you in the future tutorials.